in this life, you have got to pay. I'm standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall. I'm standing 10 feet tall. Radio, your life, your music. I'm standing 10 feet tall. I'm standing 10. Yes, we're standing 10 feet tall, yeah? And that's a production, Catalyst and the Roots Rock production, and yours truly, I-Maa-Ra, the vocalist there, songwriter Milton Booth, and producer Paul Bartley and Milton Booth, you know what I mean? And in collaboration with I-Maa-Ra,
you sing.
The production team as well. Yeah, we have to, say it as it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we look on this book, Practical Psychology, before we even go to we guess, And we talk about will, exercise your willpower. Think of what we mean by character. We mean by it is certain persistence and a certain consistency. The man of character is not fickle and variable. He is steady and reliable, and almost predict what he will do in a given situation. So a man who is thoroughly honest will not toy with the thought of stealing. His will function almost automatically here. There will be no great effort about it. So the pure woman could not act impurely. Purity is so much a part of her character that her will runs easily and smoothly in the direction of purity or purity. So we understand the courage and willpower to get whatever you want in life, and we are going to focus on that this afternoon. The courage, the will, to go for what you want, irrespective of your differentiate or differently
able.
This is a term we hear, otherwise from disabled, differently able.
Yes.
So we are going to talk to Dania Manderson, right, about her journey, and what she's doing with her life presently, and what she's about to do in the future, you know what I mean? So we are going to read a few little things. She's there?
Yeah.
She's there?
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Dania. How are you doing? You good? Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon. I am hearing you, but you are not hearing me. You are hearing me? Hello? Yes, sir. This is the community buzz and Fit FM. Dania, you are there?
I'm going to call her back.
Yeah, she's going to call her back. Dania man is a favorite genre to teach in the 8th grade. I'm going to start from up at the top, before we go there. So, alright. Breaking barriers in Bronx. Dania Manderson favorite genre to teach in the 8th grade English classes at Mott Hall Community School in dystopian fiction.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. I love that hero challenges the status quo because it coincides with human experience of trying to break free from systems of control.
Let's see if you can hear me.
Good afternoon, Dana. You are there? I am sounding far away. How is that now? I'm sounding better?
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Alright. Are you hearing me clearer now? Alright. Good afternoon. How are you? What is the weather like in your neck of the wood, according to some people? How is everything where you are now?
Good afternoon, everyone. The weather here is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of feedback.
Tell me, are you using a headset
Earpiece.
or earpiece? Okay.
Just put the phone to our ears.
Are you on speaker? Okay, so if you're on
Speaking up.
speaker and any other
She can't be on
thing
speaker.
close to you, it's just on speaker. All right. I know it is very hard to keep the phone at your ears, during an interview like this for maybe over an hour. But try as best as you can, to maybe turn it down. You hearing me better now? All right, good. Yes. So, just tell us your journey, early childhood, your mother, your father, your early schooling, and we will take it from there.
So let me just once again say good afternoon to the world, or to the listeners rather. My name is Dana Anderson, and what do I say? I am a Jamaican who has, since then relocated to America, but I was born in Jamaica, in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
To Glenmore Magnuson and Lilith Williams, and I have my 6 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yes.
And for the first 14 years of my life, I spent it on the island. I went to basic school in the community, Farmhands Music, and moved on to Catherine Hill Primary School. And then from there, I went to Mount Auburn before migrating to the States.
Yes.
And the lessons I've learned, the experiences in Jamaica, I've carried them with me ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What year did you migrate to the state?
I migrated to the States in 1994.
1994 at the age of 14. We know that you are, somebody who have disability, and that is one of the main reasons that we have you here on the program, because we see where you have gone through all those struggles and triumph, through the struggles, and have done so much as a teacher, right? And we want to explore, some of the works that you have done and continue to do. I was reading something here, and I reached this part. I love that the era challenges the status quo because it coincides with human experience of trying to break free from systems of control. You want to explain that to us?
Talk about systems of control. Well, let me back up a little bit because there are many things going on there.
Yes.
On one end, it's established that a person who is a wheelchair. I've never been able to walk. I grew up using a wheelchair. That's my norm.
Mm-hmm.
I have a genetic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of my life, there are always oppressive forces. As I was recently discussing, I'm a woman, so I deal with sexism. I am a black woman, so I deal with racism. And as a disabled woman, I deal with that additional layer of ableism. And with that being said, I'm constantly dealing with one form of oppression, or, like a concrete melding of all of them all together. And I think it's important that we come up against whatever oppression or oppressive structures that might be in place.
Mm-hmm. So you use the term ableism, and I and you had a conversation about it yesterday in the afternoon, ableism is the first I really hear the word, you know what I mean? And you went on to elaborate on what it is, and you were saying to me that it was just like any other ism, Can you just elaborate and tell the listeners, how your definition of ableism?
So, yes, my definition of ableism it is a set of beliefs and attitudes and behaviors that result in the oppression of people with disabilities.
Okay.
Right? So again, it is the belief that people with disabilities are inferior to people who are not disabled. Right? That's one aspect of it. It is also the attitude that comes as a result of that, right? Their feelings about people with disability, your perceptions of people with disabilities, and what they are able to do. And then that trickles down and dictates their behaviors, It dictates their interactions, what they provide, how they allow access, the opportunities that we have to take advantage of. And it ultimately just informs the way we reach around or written and applied. So ableism, just like, as you mentioned, any other ism, racism, classism, sexism, it is a form of oppression, but it is targeted towards people with disabilities.
As you talk about, you have to face racism and also sexism, combined with your struggle as a disabled person. I am kind of using the word in a hesitant way because you are able to do the things that you are doing. So to even say a disabled, we understand that maybe you not functional like all the other people because you have to sit in a wheelchair. But mentally, you are well, equipped to deal with the things that you have to deal with. You talk about racism. Express how you face racism, even though you are, and even though you are struggling with disability.
Of attitudes and issues that I have to deal with. When it comes to racism, I think most people understand racism or they have experienced racism. They generally have a basic idea of what racism is. I deal with that in everyday spaces, it might be at a restaurant, it might be in my interactions with people at work, it might be from other opportunities I might be trying to take advantage of or get in a certain role, and because I am Black, that might prevent me from actually taking advantage of those experiences. And when you combine that with the already belief that because I'm disabled, I'm going to even then be lesser and more inferior, then that's a compounding of oppression. And I am disabled, I have no qualm saying that, because there are physical disabilities, there are cognitive and intellectual disabilities, and I, independent of what my intellectual prowess is, I still have the reality that I live with a physical disability.
Yes. Yeah. And I like how you own up to, it is always a courage to own up to your struggle. Some people try to, hide away from it. just tell the people, our the audience out there, the kind of illness you have. As I read in here, she has a spinal muscular atrophy type 2, a progressive genetic disorder she has accommodates through a full time of the motor. Explain what muscular atrophy type 2 is.
I know muscular atrophy. Oh, I just sorry, let me get my name here. Spinal muscular atrophy is a genetic form of muscular dystrophy. And basically what that means in terms of how it expresses itself is that I have weak muscles, so I'm not able to walk, I'm not able to do a lot of the physical care for myself, like taking a shower independently. I might need help eating at times. All of my personal care and things of that nature are handled by someone. And I do rely on a wheelchair full time for mobility. So you will rarely ever see me without my wheelchair unless I'm sleeping. And that's it like this for my entire life. So I know nothing different.
You see, the reason why I say, I told you yesterday, that you are a very courageous individual, right? And, I remember we had a conversation and you told me that you're married and you have a daughter as well. Is that, you want to talk about that?
I got married fairly young, I would say.
Yeah.
I got married at the age of 24. And at the age of 25, I welcomed my daughter into the world.
Wow.
So we're talking about in 2005. So my daughter's almost 20 years old. Sadly, my marriage has dissolved. It's no longer, we're no longer in cahoots together. But I've been raising my daughter as a single parent for the past 12 years, and she has done me proud. She's now a student at Cornell University, and is becoming a lawyer. So she has, proved that my efforts were not in vain. And God for that, she's a blessing.
Yes. Somebody asking you a question to tell us about how you were able to be so effective as a teacher in the American school.
Well, I'm very grateful that people think that I was effective. I tried my best to be as effective as I could. And I think at the onset it starts with having the right attitudes towards another person's child. I always kept my child in the public school system. Not because I couldn't afford private school, but as a public school teacher, I believe in the system, the public school system. And I think a large part of that is, as a teacher, you have to be willing to treat another person's child as if they're your own. You have to show love. You have to show concern for their future. You have to be invested in them as people. And once I developed or honed in on that attitude, I was able to provide quality instruction. Because I understood that my role was not just teaching reading and writing. My role went further. I was teaching the whole child. And I think children are able to pick up on who really cares for them and who doesn't. And I think they've always felt that in their interactions with me.
You see, when we look on some of the things that you achieve, yesterday we were talking about you doing so well, in the classroom, the children, especially with children who are able-bodied, physically, active, and you as somebody with physical disability have to deal with those energetic, young, strong children. How you function in a situation like that, pertaining to dealing with children who, will challenge your physicality. Yeah?
The nature of children is to kind of challenge authority and push back on boundaries.
Yeah.
I think it's just the nature of children. And I taught middle school. My grade level was 8th grade, and I taught English. So not their favorite subject, and definitely one of the harder years to deal with children. But what I can say is that children do rise to the challenge. When you're able to be transparent with them, be very clear in your expectations and be very clear as to why these are the things that you expect, children are building that mental model when they understand. So I'll just give you a really quick example. For example, in American schools, we have to have 10 fire drills each year. And that's just in preparation for if we were to have a fire in the building. And, sometimes it's really hard for other teachers to get their students to carry out that process seamlessly. But for me, because I've always explained to my students why they need to line up a particular way, why do they need to be quiet? That's just not just for me, but for any situation like that. Once I explain to them the logic behind it and how it's meant to keep them safe, they do what I'm expecting them to do. But a lot of that is just me building that mindset for them, helping them to see beyond the surface, to get to that level of understanding. And they are very cooperative once you're willing to do that.
Okay. I am reading something here where it said the children are quiet in our presence, said Jix, so much that Manderson has never, to Jix knowledge, had to raise her voice in a class to student attention. That's magical because middle schoolers are tough crowd. You want to elaborate on the type of tactics you use to make that work for you?
It's an approach. I can see why you say tactic. I haven't thought of it like that. So
it's an approach. What kind of approach?
Ruling, not even ruling, but leading with out of respect and not to develop fear.
Okay.
My goal is not to have my students be afraid of me. I shouldn't have to expend a lot of energy throughout the day yelling at students. I don't even like yelling at my own child, so I can't go to work and yell at other people's children. And of course, I've had to raise my voice to command their attention. But my goal is to have them respect the classroom environment, to respect each other, to respect me. And so we always have a conversation about what the classroom environment should look like.
Yes.
And it's important for me to establish not just a calm, quiet classroom, but also a safe classroom. And if we can't hear each other, then we don't know what to do in the case of an emergency. And if we're not maintaining a collaborative space, then no learning will take place. And if learning is not taking place, then we're defeating the purpose of school. So these are conversations, again, that you have with students because they need to understand why the classroom is operating in the way that it is.
You stated that you stated that authority shouldn't stem from intimidation, but from mutual respect and a willingness to model the behavior she expects from her students. Right? So you have to set that example. You have to, it is more like a dialogical or kind of response to your student looking on you and seeing the example in you as somebody not, exercising too much authority or trying to intimidate them, but to more communicate in a way that you are listening to their struggles and their way of how things are affecting them as well.
I think, in terms of my philosophy, I keep saying I think, but in terms of my philosophy about fear, I think if a leader is going to lead by fear, you are eventually going to find people who are going to go against you. Because not everyone, I should say, not everyone is going to be a lamb to the slaughter. You're always going to have people who are going to push back, especially if what you're trying to do is oppressive to them, if they feel as if it is unfair. So for me, I have to be able to be transparent with my students, but to also walk the talk, if you proverbially speaking. If I'm going to be setting an expectation that my students' final exam is going to be on Wednesday, and I'm going to give them their prep notes on Monday, I need to honor that. I need to be able to say, if I'm going to give it to you on Monday, and because of you need it to be successful, you need to have it on that day, then my job as a teacher is to show them that you have to own up to the time schedule. You have to stick to the deadline. I have to meet the expectations that I set for myself. And I think a lot of times people we expect students to just merely comply with what we say, but we're not showing them that we're complying with even what the expectations for us are as educators as well.
Yes. There's somebody who was saying that your journey is amazing as a wheelchair-bound person. What would you say to other wheelchair-bound individuals? That's a question from a listener.
Right. There's so many things that I could say to a person who's dependent on a wheelchair. But I think in terms of what we confront from people and, not being encouraged enough and not, people not expecting much of us and all of those different things, I think my main message is that it is possible. It might not be possible in the same way as it is for everyone else. You might have to modify, you might need assistance, you might have to, choose alternative routes, but it is possible. You just have to have that self-confidence, and you do have to have resilience, and you have to be willing to modify as you go along, and the truth is it's what everyone is doing anyway.
Okay. Yes, this is the Community Buzz and Fit FM. We are talking with Dania Mandison. She's a teacher, she's a mother, right? And she, is struggling with disability, and we are seeing some great work that she did, standing up for herself. I am looking at something here, As an English teacher with 15 years of teaching experience in New York City Public School, Lena uses an electric wheelchair and has been unable to use restroom at her middle school building in the Bronx for the past 14 years due to the New York City Department of Education failure to provide a facility that meets her access needs. 30 years after the passage of the Americans with Disability Act, fewer than 25% of the Department of Education schools are fully accessible due to the widespread presence of architectural barriers. You struggle with all of these things. Oh, Victor, what kind of victory, or what, or you get over these things, fighting to get these things in place. What is the struggle like? I'm saying, I was just reading, the struggle that is always there, in the Department of Education, 30 years after the passage of the Americans with a Disability Act, fewer than 25% of the Department of Education schools are fully accessible due to widespread presence of architectural barriers. I'm saying this is something that must be challenging for you, How did you overcome those challenges?
Know that I actually overcame the challenges. As much as I tried to highlight the situation as it was, and then to do my part in trying to push back on it. So one of the, I taught for 20 years. I've since retired. I retired about 2 years ago after doing 2 decades of serving for 2 decades. And for the majority of my time in service, I was never able to use the bathroom at work because the bathrooms were not accessible. And it was very infuriating, it was very frustrating to deal with. But it was also a matter of personal safety when it came to the fire exit room. So working within under those circumstances and in those situations, it can be very demoralizing and discouraging in terms of working. But I think we have a personal responsibility to ourselves to push back on things that are not fair to us. Not that you're fighting it, but you're really just trying to make the situation better for yourself. And that's a part of self-love, and that's a part of honoring yourself. And when you know that something is not right and can be better, I think you owe it to the larger populace to do something about it, at least to speak up, even if you can't do anything major, quote unquote.
Yes. Another question, I believe you answered the question, but let me put it to you again. What are some of the struggles, somebody just texting in, what are some of the struggles you face in the classroom?
In the classroom were majority is similar to what every other teacher deals with. The bureaucracy, within the school system, I should say. Yes. The bureaucracy and administrators and things of that nature. But in my actual role as a teacher, I dealt more with, I don't think that my issues were mostly classroom based as much as they were administrative and bureaucratic based. My issues more so stemmed from dealing with those above, and not necessarily those in the classroom.
Okay. You mean dealing with those who are in authority is maybe some of the major issues that you struggle with?
Than with the students. I always felt like I had a hand on the teaching component. I struggle more with the oppression from the system and the administrators.
Yeah. Though you find yourself in the situation that you are in from an early age, you have the desire to be a teacher, right? And your disability never deter you. You still persist. Just tell us, the things that you have been through, on your journey to become a teacher. because it must be very challenging as a disabled person, wanting to be a teacher, and know that, how you would be accepted in a classroom. All of these things must be at the forefront of your mind. How you deal with those things?
Back.
Yes.
Or I should say those, because I wouldn't say pushback as in people were telling me definitely not to do it, but there was a lot of skepticism and doubt.
Skepticism from?
It's fair for people to ask
Okay.
or to doubt, I can see, because they haven't really seen people with disabilities as much. I guess during that time, it's a lot more, you see people with disabilities more now, but during that time, we're talking 22 years ago when I was breaking into the field of teaching, and even before that,
yes,
there was a lot of skepticism. It can be hard to stick to your dream when everyone basically is being a naysayer, but I think there is a certain fortitude that gets developed when you feel something within yourself, when you know that that is what you're meant to do. And I've always felt as if I'm designed and created to be an educator, and not just in the formal sense, just in my everyday interactions with people. And I always knew that I didn't need to have, working limbs to teach. It was more of an intellectual burden to bear more so than a physical task. So for me, I don't even know how exactly what skills I could use or what tactics to get past the naysayers. But thankfully, with the help of God, I was able to, keep my eye on what it is that I wanted to accomplish.
The naysayers. Who were some of the naysayers? What about family support?
I have been blessed. Oh my God, thank you, Father. I've been blessed to have a very good support system and, a family unit that is encouraging. Yes. For the most part. I'm not saying all my family members are encouraging or anything like that, but within my closest knit, my mom, my father, my brothers, I've always kind of just been encouraged to do what I need to do. They didn't limit me because of my disability. They didn't tell me that I could not do things or should not do things. It was more questioning if I had figured out how I would get it done, or if I had thought about all the different factors that would come into play. But luckily for me, I've been blessed with a good family unit. The doubt mostly came from people who didn't know me enough to know how strong my will is. So, administrators when I was interviewing for jobs, or colleagues when I would express my goals and my dreams to them. But in terms of my family, I would say I was pretty supportive.
Yeah. Question coming in, somebody's asking, the bureaucracy of the education system no doubt was draining for you. So what is it that kept you pushing forward? Even though you know that it was, it's a challenge, but what gave you that drive to keep pushing forward through the bureaucratic struggle?
Honoring my true calling, I guess that's the me part. But I also always got the feedback from my students that my presence was valuable. That what I was offering them as a teacher was something that they would never forget. And because I knew that my place, I could have worked in private schools, I could have worked in I could have tutored from home. I could have done any number of things. But working in the school that I was working in, I always felt as if my presence made a difference, and the job I was doing was, putting kids on a proper course towards a good future. And because I was motivated by them and by my own desire to do well, I understood also that everyone is dealing with some kind of bureaucracy or some kind of challenge. It's when you look at the bigger picture, you realize that it's not necessarily just about you. You're just one aspect of the system. And, it's not that I was directly targeted. I just suffered with the system that was in place.
Yes.
But everyone deals with bureaucracy and oppression. And once you understand that, then you're willing to take on the part that comes towards you, comes at you.
Yes, yes. I am reading something here, where it said, colleagues such as our teacher, Giuliani, Jix, admire Mandelson's special presence with her student. The children are quiet in her presence, she said, Jix, so much that Mandelson has never, to Jix knowledge, had to raise her voice in the class to get student attention. That's magical because middle schoolers are tough. I believe we read that already. But we want to, see the kind of tactics. As I want you to, reiterate that some more, because we realize that even in Jamaica, we see so much time where we see physical, interaction, fight with student and teacher in classroom, and to know that you, with disability, that are going to use this term, commanding spirit, that, the children within your presence can just, adhere or listen and just be quiet. What magic, what personality you possess to get that kind of attention?
I'll start by saying I'm a very even-tempered person.
Okay.
It takes a lot to really get me upset because I'm always trying to be empathetic, but that's just one aspect of it.
Yes.
I'm also using what I understand about psychology.
Yeah.
And emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And character building and capacity building. As an educator, I have a bachelor's in science.
Okay.
So I studied the science of educating. And a lot of it is not just, again, about book knowledge. It's also being able to reach the person. I understand that my students come from backgrounds and experiences and have lived lives that I will never understand. So for me, it's more about learning them, learning what triggers them, learning what makes them happy, learning which ones are coming to school hungry, learning which ones might not have a proper coat in the wintertime. It's being so sensitive to them as people that I can relate to them. It's a lot of negotiation of personalities. And I feel as if once I start fighting with a student, I would have already lost. Because to figure in the classroom, I have to exude that level of calm and composure in order for my students to trust me and relate to me.
Yes.
To lose my temper and lose my control, there is nothing for them to do with that other than react.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm the authority figure,
and
I have to equip myself with skills and information and, constantly updating my toolkit and my skill set to be able to deal with the children in front of me.
Yes. What about the compassion of the student, looking at their teacher, knowing that you are somebody who's imparting knowledge to them and helping them? How compassionate and caring, your students are to you, towards you,
They start out with a level of curiosity,
Okay.
because in most cases they've never had a teacher with a disability.
Yeah.
They probably haven't even interacted much
Mm-hmm.
with people, with disabled people outside of their home.
Yes.
Maybe a grandparent or, a distant relative. So for me, it starts to open up with curiosity.
Okay.
They're really curious about my chair and what my chair does. And,
Okay.
they want to ask questions about how I was able to carry my child for 9 months. And,
Mm-hmm.
children are naturally curious.
Yes.
But I think once we related to each other enough, and they realize that I am genuinely invested in them,
Mm-hmm.
they naturally just start to care about me as if I'm their second parent.
Yes.
And we develop a rapport
Mm-hmm.
of respect and concern for each other.
Yes.
And children are very good
Yes.
at being loving. They're so good at reciprocating love
Yeah.
and accepting love.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about teaching children.
Yes. As you mentioned, carrying a child for 9 months. You were at school during your pregnancy. You're still teaching. You're no ordinary person, man. You're not ordinary. You're no ordinary woman,
11 days.
Whoa! Eh?
Why me?
Eh?
Complicated, so I just did it.
Eh?
I listened to the body. I went doctor's care, of course.
Yes.
I was a high risk pregnancy, so I had many, many, appointments.
Mm-hmm.
But they said until you feel as if you can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
continue going to work. And when I actually took my 9-month leave,
Mm-hmm.
my daughter came 11 days later.
Wow. Wow.
Actually,
Why? May I tell you, 11 days before, I was still there work.
Naturally, I had it
Yeah?
naturally.
You're not easy. I tell you, you're not ordinary. You're not ordinary. I'm telling you. And your daughter now. What is she doing now?
my daughter at Cornell University, she's a junior in university, and she will eventually go on to law school
Yes.
in about another 2 years. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And tell us about the support to your daughter. Father still support her, or you are a single mother, because we know them things they go after marriage and thing.
I'm not happy to say I'm a single parent, but I am proud to say that I've done a good job of a single parent since she's been 7 years old. And that is in 100% full capacity, with the support of my mother, who's always like the involved grandma. But in terms of my father, we are separate, and I am financially responsible for my daughter.
We have to salute you. Say we have to salute you. But you what? I don't know if you have something nearby if you go and sip on. We are going to take a little break and play a piece of music and come back, because it deserves that kind of vibration there. So stay tuned, hold the line, we'll soon come forward to you.
So seeking first and open doors, to before you better pick your choice. One leads to darkness, but to eternal life. To before you waiting for a purpose from the divine. Don't you fool yourself and go blind. And not to fight war like a heathen with guns and ammunition, crossing and prayer. That's the righteous man weapon. To before you better pick your choice. One leads to darkness, one to eternal life. To before you better pick your choice. Remember the stone that the building refused. High so low rejoice. Put on your armor, my friend. The system is so corrupt. Mankind and moving so unjust. You cannot united we stand. Oh, divided we fall. You don't lose your stand. Put on your armor against these wicked plans. To before you better pick your choice. One leads to darkness, one to eternal life. To before you better pick your choice. As the stone that the building refuse, I still don't rejoice. Put on your armor and cross these borders. Fasting and prayer to cut down these vampires. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, Yahweh said I will heal their land. Oh, yeah. So to before you.
Yes.
King Malachi.
King Malachi, 2 words before you better pick your choice, and it's really a relevant song, for this interview that we are having with Dania Manderson. She's somebody who is with disability, physical disability, but she's intellectually sharp and she is emotionally capable to handle any situation. Somebody with a disability who is a mother, and although she kind of modest with it, but she's a single mother who are helping her daughter to become a lawyer, and she cared for so many children. I'm just reading some of our writings here. Mandisa moved to Bronx, where she still lived. Just before starting 6th grade, she found an accommodating, welcoming and understanding environment at her middle school. Later on, her 10th grade English teacher at Theodore Roosevelt High School, Michael Selt, made a strong impression with a reading assignment about Helen Keller, her spirit of defiance. Mandison said, I thought about going against what expected, whether by your family or your teacher or society as a whole, she said. I realize it's okay to forge your own path and figure out what your gifts are, to ask where your limits are, rather than what other people perceive your limits to be. Decades later, that's a lesson Mandison carried through to her teaching. She recalled 2 boys in her class who hated writing and found it boring. They were always drumming on the desk to make music in the class, she said. They worked hard enough to pass and grew up to become successful musicians. I want to talk about that. How you identify students who maybe, their passion is not, with what you are teaching, but you can discover something else in those students that they would want to be, and to create that space and to give them that support to be what you discover or see in them. How important is that as a teacher? Rather than to push what is in the curriculum, you realize that there's something else in these two students or these students that you can find a way to bring it to the fore. How important is that as a teacher?
I think a lot of times teachers see students as these empty bins that we need to fill up with our own thoughts and our ideologies and our thinking. But I've always seen myself more as my job is to expose my students to ideas and to other ways of living, which is the beauty of literature, is that you can reach other worlds through a story, a poem, whatever the case may be. But in addition to exposing them to other things, as I'm paying attention to them, as I'm engaging with them, talking with them, learning about them and what their goals are, I can then now mold my teaching to fit that as well. I remember those two students, when you talk about them, and I just posted their music on Instagram because I remember always saying to them, if you're going to write a good song, if you're going to be a musician, you need to be able to master English as well. You're going to have to compose ideas. You're going to have to put, thought to paper. And I've always tried to find a way to make my curriculum real world, suitable for real life. To use what I'm able to use to help them to accomplish what it is that they want to. And because I pay attention to what they want, and then I try to guide them towards that, the students have always respected, and they'll always tell me, you encourage me to do this, and I'll never forget it. And because it's not about what I want them to do, it's about what they want to do. It's about me equipping them to do what they want to do.
That's it. To be that support to help them to achieve what is, innately inside of them. We just see you as a champion, you know what I mean? We just see you as a champion, and just I listen to you, knowing that you've gone through all of those struggles, you hold your composure, and you retire early retirement, How is that going for you, for somebody, to retire that early, and how you're enjoying your life, how you're full enjoying your life?
Very good. I must say, in all transparency and being candid, for the first year and maybe 3 months, I almost lost my mind. I was still waking up early. I was missing writing lesson plans. I was, missing the energy that children bring. They're so full of life and full of imagination and ideas, and no matter how asinine it might seem, they just bring that level of, oh, this is exciting, right? So for the first year and 3 months, it was really a very difficult transition for me. I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt out of my element. I felt like I was bored out of my mind. And it was a sad time because my daughter had just gone off to school. She went to school in August. I stopped working in December. So I had an empty nest and nowhere to go and very little people to interact with on a daily basis. I went from dealing with hundreds of kids in one day to only being around a caregiver for majority of the time.
Wow. And
it was really a rough transition, but as I slowly remembered my creative side, the fact that I am a writer, I have my poetry, and I do my disability advocacy. I think once I was able to get my mind into thinking about those things and putting my energy and my love and my work into those creative aspects, I am now at a place where I can I was recently, one of my poems was recently published in a collection. So I'm doing that work. I'm doing a lot of hanging out, if you could call it that. I'm always on the boat or, out eating. I live a very simple and humble life, and I try to have as many experiences as I can.
Yeah.
And a part of my advocacy is being visible. So I have to be out there in community. People need to see people with disabilities living full lives.
Yeah.
I think I'm changing the narrative and framing my life how I want to.
Yeah.
And a large part of that is to engage with the community as a whole.
Yeah.
Not to stay hidden in the house, not to hide behind these four walls. It's about being out there and living a full life.
And interactive. It look like you might get married again, Diana. What you say?
Married again, that's up to God. I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. No, you don't sit on body yet.
It would be nice, but it's not there yet, so I have to wait, right?
Yeah. You see, life is just an amazing journey, And when you say you're a real champion, we really mean that, because we see a whole heap of people, who that give up on life and say, boy, nothing really I want, And we see able-bodied people, women, right now, who I say, boy, picnic, me if you go have picnic a burden. And I don't want no picnic to come hold on my life, my freedom, And you see this word freedom, I believe a lot of people abuse it and don't understand, that freedom comes with certain responsibility. As a teacher, and because once a teacher is always a teacher, just talk to us about that level of responsibility, and that kind of courage to know that even though, because there must be something in you for just saying, why I would like to experience motherhood. How you deal with that? Or it wasn't something planned. You was just enjoying yourself and it happened.
Just enjoy it. Only my daughter was planned. I was married already and I had a son.
Okay.
It was no buck up,
All right, good.
We had expectations of having a long-term marriage,
Okay.
Also was created in love.
Beautiful.
High hopes for that.
Yes.
But I've never really seen it as a burden. I think for me, the single most powerful thing I've ever done is to have a child. Because I've had someone here who is now very much aware of ableism, very smart in terms of the world and politics and systems and, all of that. Somehow she's so beautiful, she's so caring, she's, the best part of me to a large degree, because I've tried to pour the best parts of myself into her. And I've never seen motherhood as a burden because I had to change my lifestyle. It didn't matter if I didn't party when she was young. It didn't matter if I had to come home and make sure that things were provided, or if I couldn't buy the latest fashion because I had a child. The point is, it's no greater joy than to see something that you've created grow from a baby to an adult. And I think people who, if a person doesn't wish to have a child, I can understand that, and I can respect the decision. But oftentimes it's not just because the child is a burden. It's probably because they're just not willing to give up certain parts of themselves in order to nurture that child. And being honest and saying that it's good. It's good when you can acknowledge that you just don't have that desire within you, because then you're not bringing a child into an environment that doesn't welcome their presence.
Mm-hmm. You talk about after retirement, and I see so much value in you. Are you doing any kind of motivational talk, or and these things? Anybody engage you to come to school, especially in the disabled community, to motivate them to be that motivational speaker? You talk about your poetry. I don't know if you have any there now or beside you, but I would hope that before the program ends in the next couple of minutes, that maybe you can read one or two of your poems that people can hear. But tell me about your work now. Are you doing any kind of motivational talk with the people who are struggling with disability, or?
So I'm just going to reframe what you said a little bit. I don't think we are struggling with our disabilities. We are living with a disability, or we're living with a disability. Not necessarily. It is a struggle because of the systems that we deal with and the experiences that we have to combat. But we don't wake up every day feeling as if our life, oh my God, is a struggle. It's just components of our lives are a struggle.
Yes.
Similar to what we wouldn't say someone struggles with their blackness. It's just, you're just black. You're a black person, but you're struggling with the oppressive forces.
Yes.
I've been giving talks to people with disabilities and just general people in general for the past 8 years, since 2017, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that while actively teaching, and now that I am no longer teaching in the formal sense, I am trying to get the speaking engagements, more ramped up, if you will.
Yes.
Am I going into schools and doing that work? Not yet. I'm still licensing my business so I can, do that in a formal sense and be paid for it, be compensated for it. So that's one aspect of what's happening. And in terms of the writing, I'm about to publish a book of poetry, but I do write op-eds as well, So there's a lot of writing and creative work going on.
Yeah.
I was recently a model for Dove, because I like to do that too.
Okay.
Listen, until I die, I'm going to live. You understand me?
You're just living.
I'm going to do as many positive things.
Yeah.
And take advantage of many positive experiences.
Right.
As long as it's in the best interest of other people, I'm cool.
Great. You talk about registering a business. When you say register business, what kind of business are you into now?
I'm business consulting for academics and disability justice. So anything that I have my master's is in school building leadership, which means that I am licensed to be a principal, a school leader. So I do a lot of consulting with teachers and other principals just as thought partners. And if I can formalize it and make it an actual business, then that's the next step.
Okay. And then you said you are planning to publish book of poetry. You don't have any idea now that you can read for us?
Your time?
Yeah, man. We can give you some. We can bounce a piece of music and give you some time to prepare, and you come back and read that one poem for you that we hear it. So we're going to take a break. Yeah, we're going to play a song, and you take a break, and then we wait till your second come in. All right. This is the Community Buzz on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music, and this is I-Maa-Ra, the musical revolutionary. Online we are talking with Dania Mandison, right? And she is such a brilliant mind, you know what I mean? And she is doing great work, and we have to salute a champion like her. See, you find anything to do there? Yeah, all right, so we're ready for a piece of music. I want to look forward, she's going to read one of her poems, you know, for us, and that you can hear. Good.
Yeah, man, you look foolish. If you think that you can make it without the divine Father. Yeah. If you're not working for the Most High, you're giving glory to the synagogue of Satan. There is not one way, it's walking righteousness or walking in deception. I know your eyes are blinded, but the truth is here to set you free. The Almighty Father paid the price for you and me, so no make nobody fool ya. Stop from make the devil use ya. Revolute your mind. Yes, now is the time. So no make nobody fool ya. Stop from make the devil use ya. Revolute your mind. Cause now is the time. Please don't let the cares of this world shut you down. No, no, no. That you just cannot see that you should wear a crown. You sent to have the Most High to fulfill His purpose. So don't you let this corrupted system let you bite the dust. So no make nobody fool ya. Stop from letting the devil use ya. Revolute your mind. Now is the time. Please don't let nobody fool ya. Stop from letting the devil use ya. Revolute your minds. Cause now is the time. So many posters and material gains, exalting yourself now with vanity and causing destruction and pain. But empty we come into this world, and I'm sure that we're leaving with nothing. We come here for a purpose, so stop be blinded by material things. So no let nobody fool ya. No make no devil use ya.
Yes, that is King Malachi. Malachi? Malikaya. Right? And it's, you know, make nobody fool you. You know what I mean? Revolute your mind. Yeah? And it's a community buzz. And we are also simulcasting on primal4k.com. It's www.primal4k.com. Right? And we are online. Dana Mandison. And we are talking about her journey as a teacher, and much more than a teacher. She's also an author, you know, and she's writing poetry, and she's also a motivational speaker and a businesswoman, a mother, you know what I mean? So much about this champion lady, you know what I mean? I admire her so much. Dana, you ready for now with the poem? All right.
I think I was also sharing with that weekend.
Yeah?
So what I'm going to be reading is the latest one that I have. It was published in an anthology called Wheeling and Healing, Volume 2. And the name of this poem is called Too Late. And I will start reading now.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me how you feel or what
just...
you think when you see me.
Okay.
It's written all over your face. You stare at me as if I'm from outer space. Get out of my face with that. I can read your thoughts. Clandestine as you try to be, your stance towards me is transparent. The value you refuse to acknowledge, the human you refuse to see. My humanity is not your priority. You don't think I'm worth being protected. You're too comfortable with me being exploited, expecting docility, humility, wanting me to agree with you that I am inferior, and I let you feel whatever you feel, think whatever you think, see whatever you see. All the while, I stay quiet, watching you from the corner of my eye, while my eyes stay steady on what needs to be done, knowing that you're the fool. You don't see me as a threat, so you underestimate me to your own detriment. You've got some nerve calling me disabled. I find it kind of funny. Actually, you've got functional limbs, yet you're unproductive. Scamming the government, years on welfare, no diploma or degree, mentally lethargic, sleeping on people's couches, sucking up their food stamps. You've got some nerve looking down on me. But I take it. I let you do what you do, knowing that you're the fool. You cannot deny me without denying your future self. You'll get old, you might become disabled, and then you'll have no choice but to live with the society that you created. Then and only then will you start fighting for the cause, but it will already be too late.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, you're expressing your journey, you're expressing your struggle, you're expressing to the world, you know, that, you know, those who in a way, the stone that the builder refused would be the cornerstone. In another way I could say, today for me, tomorrow for you. You understand that term there? If I hear your foreparents say it in that way, that's some of the program, the poem.
And I think even a mutual acquaintance of ours say, you know, from Simon say where your mouth so long, and then Mama say one day you will find out, you know,
yeah.
And we neglect the issues of that people with disabilities face, not realizing that it can easily become our reality. You know, it takes one accident for a person to end up disabled. It takes old age to end up needing services and certain levels of care.
Yeah.
And I think we don't think about how fragile our life and our current circumstances are.
Yeah.
And when we refuse to think about equity, then it really works against us in the long run, if and when we ever need to have those services and those voices to speak up for us.
Yeah.
So it's in our best interest to actually level the playing field while we can, instead of waiting until we actually need the field to be leveled.
Yes. You have said it clearly that life is very fragile. You know what I mean? Life is very fragile. Just one bad move or one slip and you can be in a wheelchair. You can, you know, maybe just not even have the access to a wheelchair. You know what I mean? And we see so much of that, you know. So many people suffering from stroke, from, you know, so many other things, you know. So it is our responsibility as human to be empathetic, to be compassionate, to be caring, to be kind to each other. You understand? Community. Let us talk about community. How important is community in all of your journey? And when we say community, I am talking about your immediate family and your extended family as a community. How important is it, on your journey as a disabled person?
Community is one of the most important things for me, especially. When we talk about my immediate family, we talk about those in my inner circle.
Yes.
They are aware of my vulnerabilities. I do live on my own. I do rely on caregivers. I do, have to navigate that. And so because my family is well aware of my vulnerabilities and what I need in order to be protected and to be safe and to be cared for, they're always on high alert, if you want to call it that. And again, I'm never saying it's every member of my family, but I can tell you that my mom, my daughter, my brothers, they make sure that I am taken care of, and they make sure that they check in, and they make sure that my mental health is good, because there's a lot of struggle related to living this life. But I would not be able to sustain, I think. Even in raising my daughter, even in my day-to-day, it is important that I have a network and a solid set of people in my back, around me.
Yeah.
Just as how I try to be equally as resourceful and loving towards them,
Yeah. Certainly, I encounter, had a conversation with one of your brother, and whenever I say anything, I mention your name, and you couldn't see the passion coming out of him. You know what I mean? Dwight. If it's one person who really love you, I am telling you, is your brother Dwight Jarrett. That brother, even though he faced his own struggle, but you has a special place in his heart, and that is very important to know that you have somebody, if I'm just one person, it is important. That is how powerful the energy of love is.
Absolutely. I don't know. I don't know how much your listeners, subscribe to the Bible, but, one is good, but two is always more powerful. So whenever you can have another person to join with you and help you and be a support for you, not necessarily doing the work for you, but even the encouragement, even someone that you can say, I know this person believes in me and will be there alongside me. Sometimes that's all you need to build your faith and to keep going on the journey. You don't need a million, you don't need an army, but you need a few loyal people in your court.
Yes. Advocacy. We see a lot of, even here in Jamaica, right? We see him go through the struggle as a politician. Now he's a professor, Professor Morrison, that is his name, Julia. A part of the PMP. He used to be the president of the Senate. Do you have any interest in politics as an advocate?
Wow, that is such a good question. I do in politics as it pertains to thinking about people with disabilities.
Yes.
And how marginalized they are. People always ask me, even my mom has always encouraged me to come back home. And I've always said to her, as much as I would love to go back home, I couldn't go home right now. And that is because Jamaica doesn't necessarily offer me the accommodation that I've gotten used to here,
Yes.
the accommodation that have allowed me to actually do well and to maximize my potential. I find Jamaica to be, infrastructure just not able to accommodate me. And then the mindset of the people are very difficult
Yes.
to deal with as well.
Yes.
So I always said I would love to come back to Jamaica to work in the capacity of actually, integrating people with disabilities more into the community, thinking about infrastructure and buildings and access. And I think I would love to see people with disabilities be given a better fair chance on the island. I love the island. I'm Jamaican to the bone, and I want to be home.
Yes.
But I would only be able to come home, I feel, if I'm able to actually live a comfortable life there and be able to contribute to the building of the disabled community.
Yes.
And society as a whole, like as I said, when you do for people with disabilities, you're doing for everyone.
Exactly.
Because it is not a class of, because it's of people that we can just escape and push on the back burner. We all can fall into that community at any point in time.
Yes, yes. You talk about coming back home. What about people in the diaspora, who you connect with the diaspora and the disabled community there, or there are not many in the diaspora that you connect with?
You mean in Jamaica?
No, like just in the United States of America that you are, you know that you have a big population from Jamaica. So I'm saying, if you connect with any other disabled person there, what kind of networking is there? Okay.
People from Jamaica who are connected to, who have disabilities here.
Okay.
Most of the disabled people that I'm connected to who are part of the diaspora are Black Americans.
Okay.
Here in the States.
So is it that you have an active network where communicate and speak on issues together, and how we can solve problems together?
Absolutely. I'm a part of several disability groups that have just been added to the advisory board of another organization. And there are definitely lots of forums that we take part in. Myself as well, I try to, we talk internally amongst ourselves without able-bodied people influencing the discussion. We do have platforms and spaces where we meet to talk about disability issues.
Yeah. So what about the structure? You have like a president, a treasurer, is like a movement, is something like that, a semi-government.
We actually have the movement. We have a disability rights movement. And that is how the ADA was passed 30 years ago. There's always people who doing the work. We all contribute in different ways. You have people who are academics, you have people who are doing music, people in fashion, people in movies, people who are doing the grassroots work. I like to think of myself as a grassroots person. Quite frankly, I like to work within the weeds. I like to have my ear to the ground. Because I'm a critical thinker and I'm a problem solver by nature. So I like to be in that aspect, in the field where I can actually know what the issues are and what's going on. Because that's how the response is crafted, by actually knowing what's the temperature.
So like I know you have your poems and things like that. You go out and read, and other disability person maybe have their own way of expressing their creativity. Go out and read poetry, sing songs, play music. What kind of interaction happening in your immediate circle or your network?
Our context of interaction that happen. It doesn't mean that I take part in every type of activity that there is.
Mm-hmm.
I think just as with able-bodied people, you pick what you like.
Yeah.
Form community with those who are like-minded with you. Being disabled doesn't exclude us from those normal experiences and desires and feelings, but I join poetry groups because I like poetry.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't call myself a musician.
Yeah.
So I go to concerts and stuff, and people with disabilities are there, but I'm also just a normal person, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what I mean by that. But what I'm saying is I have normal experiences, I join normal groups,
Yes.
Sometimes it's with people with disabilities, sometimes it's not. It's not.
Yes.
It just depends on what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But there are many different communities and groups out there for people with disability based on their interests and their likings and what they want to do next.
Yeah. The reason why I asked the question, recently I was looking at this sister. She's on TikTok. She's a blind sister, and she was just amazing. She's just amazing because she cook. Me see her with shovel, and mix mortar. I mean, she's at the beach. She's just full joy in life and full of attitude too. You know what I mean? So I really and when we talk about music, because we remember a band here in Jamaica. I don't know if you know of that band. Recently lost one of the premier musician who used to play with Fab Five. You know what I mean? And the band Unique Vision. You know about that band?
Maybe I know it's called, but I don't know the band.
Yeah. Unique Vision is a fully blind band. All the musicians inside the band. I believe most of them came out of Salvation Army. You know what I mean? But they are very proficient musicians. And I am happy that you are just living your life, because life is just for living, as the great Ernest Smith said, you know what I mean? And once you're living life with that kind of intensity, you are really full joy in your mission and your purpose here, you know what I mean? Say the time run off, with the attack and the time run off. So if there is anything that you have to say, whether people who want to get in touch with you, if you have social media angles where you want people to link you to see your work, your poetry, or whatever other things that you're doing, you can share it, now, if you want to do so.
Oh, yes, viewers, I want to first thank you, viewers. Sorry. I want to thank you, listeners, for just taking this time to listen and vibe with us. I always appreciate the ears.
Yes.
And if people want to connect with me, I'm always looking to make new friends. You can find me on all social media handles at Dania Manderson, DAYNRAHMANDERSON. And you can always reach me through my website, which is daniamanderson.com. As I said, find me on Instagram or find me on Facebook. I don't TikTok much, but I'm also there.
Yes.
And I look forward to connecting with people and building the movement, I appreciate it. I appreciate you as well.
Yes. Which state you are in? Okay, New York. You manage when winter come around? We need to ask you that. You deal with the winter, the coldness in America?
I want to come back home. It's usually mostly in the winter time. I cannot stand it. It's super cold. And the truth is, like, as a person with limited mobility, because I'm not walking to generate that body heat, the cold feels twice as cold. And, you know, depending on the snow, the wheelchair can have a hard time navigating out there. But the truth is, God is always good, you know, like, you bundle up, you know, and you clear your driveway, you take a cab where you have to go. So it is a hardship, but you know, whenever you're busy, you have to make the most of it.
That's it. That's it.
There's nothing very limited with someone, you know?
Yeah. All right, all right, my sister. It is a really full joy talking to you here, and it is not going to be the last time, you know. We are awaiting your book of poetry, and you know me, I will talk again, seeing after year, seeing. So, you know, we give thanks that you know, come on here and express yourself and share your journey and your story with us. And we're looking forward to having you another time. You know, so we're wishing you all the best, and just stay positive as you are. You know, so I-Maa would say love and light to you, Dana Mandis.
Right, and you're
All right. Yes, this is the Community Buzz and Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music, you know, and we just start with Dana Mandison, right? And, you know, a disabled teacher, you know, poet, advocate, you know. We want to salute her and salute the people, you know, all the people who are part of the disabled communities across the world. You know, you are making invaluable contribution to lives, you know, and we really appreciate all the great works that you are doing, you know what I mean? And we are saying to the able-bodied people, you know, be very compassionate, you know, be kind to, you know, the people who you say struggling, you know, with physical disability, you know, because, as she said a while ago, life is very fragile, and any one of us, you know, is just one little moment or second, you know, and you can find yourself, you know. Recently, last week Tuesday, you know, you go up the hills there, you know, and you climb one guinea tree and up and drop out of the guinea tree, you know, you believe it?
My goodness.
See? So,
in a young age, yeah.
In my old age.
Oh my God.
Split it up. And I-Maa-Ra was coming down. This Anya kind of cushioned me. Maybe I got, yeah.
Yeah, but you get it though.
Yeah, me get a good amount of guinea, but it's just looking back and I said, Jano, I'm just done some physical training, you know.
Yes.
I said, just look how me could have just be up and active, and just one little slip, I could have find myself, you know, maybe in a wheelchair or something.
Right.
But give thanks me there.
Give thanks.
So life is just like that, you know, it's just a little moment and things just change. So let us be kind, respectful, you know, and compassionate to each other. You know, at the Community Buzz, and we look forward to having another guest here next week, and we continue on the journey to uplift and inspire and educate ourselves and educate others. Rastafari, love.
Fit FM 96.7, Trelawney's Radio, your life, your